Hey, I'm catiewahwah, and you're watching The Record Review. Lauren Mayberry of Chvrches has actually been in the news for other reasons than her music. Last year, she popped up in a lot of news stories and headlines because she took a screenshot of one of the messages that she gets sent every day on the Chvrches Facebook page, which was basically online sexual harassment. Unfortunately, she actually got more backlash for even daring to post that in public, with some comments that I don't even want to repeat in my videos. I find it especially ironic that Lauren Mayberry is the target of that sort of online sexual harassment, because Chvrches is a band that really prides itself on being sort of gender neutral, even within that sort of dynamic where she's not marking herself as being particularly feminine, she's still the target of sexualized harassment. Which really begs the question, should Mayberry and any woman who dares to go out in the public sphere expect harassment? I think it's really important to think about the reasons why people, and by people it's usually men, send these sorts of messages. The first option, which I think is quite unlikely, is that they genuinely mean it as a compliment. Now, that is, I suppose, possible, but highly unlikely. The second option, which I think is unfortunately far more likely, is that the men who send these messages are trying to intimidate women in the public sphere by sexualizing them and objectifying them in a way that is designed to remind them that they don't belong. Now, when that happens repeatedly, it makes it unfortunately far more difficult for women to do things like be in a band than men, which is clearly not okay. It should not be harder for somebody to do something in the public sphere purely based upon their gender identification. They really picked the wrong person to harass with Lauren Mayberry though. Before she was in Chvrches, she studied law and after that got a master's in journalism and then worked as a freelance journalist. So obviously Mayberry took to The Guardian to pen an opinion piece based upon her experiences, writing about whether women should expect harassment. Is the casual objectification of women so commonplace that we should all just suck it up or roll over and accept defeat? I hope not. Objectification, whatever its form, is not something anyone should have to just deal with. I hope you guys all agree with that sentiment. I definitely do. So no, female artists should not expect harassment. Sometimes that's really hard because obviously it means that they have to acknowledge it and they have to try to do something about it, but unfortunately, it seems to be one of the only ways to prove that it's not okay. And just to any male viewers, I do have a bit of homework for you. You know that thing, male privilege, that you might hear a lot, you might know what it means, you might sometimes hear it and be like, I don't really know what male privilege is. Well, here's an example of how you can use it for good. If you are in a group of men and or boys and one of them starts to objectify women, do speak up and do tell them that it is not okay to speak about women in that way. Because unfortunately, there have actually been studies done that show that if a misogynist man is standing with a group of men and he makes a sexist joke and the people around him do not actively question it, he will often take their silence as acceptance and support and believe that more people actually support those really sexist views. So if you're in the position where you hear that sort of thing and you do feel comfortable enough to question it, do it, and you are doing a lot of good if you do that. Hey, this week I'm going to be reviewing The Bones of What You Believe by Chvrches.